Hey crew, it's Pitt, and I'm back answering the most important question on Reddit. Am I the bunghole? I think I cussed in the last one. And that's going to mess me up. But, all right, we're going to go ahead and dive in and see what's up with this question today. Am I the bunghole for letting to be mansplained? Disclaimer, English is not my first language. Apologies for any errors. My 28 female partner, 30 male, is very good at mansplaining. I'm going to hold my comments until the end. I don't talk. I read all the way through and then I do my comments. I don't like this term, but that's exactly what he does. Will happily explain the most basic things. Sometimes he starts a discussion. Do you know what XYZ is? Do you know how XYZ works? And despite my answer, he will either explain it anyways, or he will try to challenge my knowledge. Oh yeah? What is it then? I find it infuriating, and I talk to him about it many times. He says he doesn't realize he does it, and he does not try to offend me. He says he just feels like he needs to prove that he knows things. He's been doing so much better and watches himself when he talks, very much appreciated. The thing is, he got it from his father, who does the same thing, and to be fair, even worse. We were recently at his parents to see them and his sisters. We started talking about a subject I'm fairly comfortable with based on my knowledge. Unfortunately, the inevitable, do you know how XYZ happened question was asked by my partner's father, which I politely replied, yes, I do to. That was not enough, and yet again, I got lectured in a friendly manner. My partner, of course, had to join in, and they both were pitching me the whole subject, basically talking over each other and adding as many details as possible. At that point, I had enough, so I decided to play along. I would exclaim, wow, that's cool. No, really? And oh, I had no ideas. Left, right, and center. I basically became a character of a nosy 4-year-old. This confused everyone in the room, which led to the following exchange. Partner, I thought you said you knew it. Said in a gotcha sort of way. I thought you said you knew it. Me, oh, I do, but you both decided to ignore that, so I decided I should do the same. Everyone went quiet. My partner and his dad both got upset, saying that I was incredibly rude and that I embarrassed them in front of their family instead of politely telling them that I knew those things already, which obviously does not work. My partner's mother is on their side, saying that it was rude of me, but his sisters say that both their brother and their dad have been asking for it for years. Okay, now, I don't like mansplaining. I understand why somebody could come up with that concept, but here's the thing. I've spent an incredibly large amount of time studying how people think. There's a link up here to my other channel where I go into detail about how people think in different ways. And one of the ways that people think is that they hone in on details that other people don't. It seems like possibly your partner and his father both exhibit this characteristic where they like to explain things, right? And they, despite you saying that you know it, they may feel that they have a better understanding of it. And that is not necessarily restricted to a gender. That happens with both genders. If you don't know that, then you just haven't met the right people, because I have met people from both sides who will do this exact same thing. So it's not mansplaining. It's just a different way of thinking. And some people are like that. They really are. I'm like that. I don't try to be a dick about it. I gotta stop cussing. But I don't try to be a butthole about it. What I try to do now that I'm aware of what I'm doing is to not as much, unless I'm asked, do that. But some people don't know that they're doing it, right? Now you said that you talked to your husband and that, or your partner, and that he did it, and that he was working on himself. Well, when you fall back into with your parents, you got to give him some leeway. Now, I'm not saying by any means to tolerate anything disrespectful. What I am saying is you should have brought up that right there, instead of being coy about it, which was funny. I'm gonna give you that. That's funny shit. Like that's funny. I liked it, but that's because I'm kind of a dick. And what you should have done, the appropriate response there was like, you know, when I told you that you do this thing, here's you doing this thing. And like point it out, even to the side to your husband. And then tell him, and your dad's doing the same thing. I don't know if you talked to the dad or not. That's not explained in here. If you've talked to the dad in the same way that you've talked to your husband, and he understands this, then that's a whole nother thing. And like, if you're the only one that's actually voicing it, and it appears that the sisters are not, even though they feel the same way, then maybe they need to support you publicly with that. To be more, yeah, you do that. Now, I'm not going to say that you weren't the bunghole for doing it in the manner that you did it, because even though it's fun to do things like that sometimes, it is a bunghole move to do in that manner. It is. I know snarky, passive aggressive works for some people. I don't do passive aggressive. I do aggressive. That's my only aggressive. I'm either passive or I'm aggressive. I'm never passive aggressive, because passive aggressive leads to bitterness and resentment and falling apart and arguments and all of that. If we've got a problem, let's talk about it openly and honestly. And if we can't do that, then we don't need to see each other. That's a different situation here, right? But you do need to talk about it openly and honestly, instead of trying to just be snarky about it. As much fun as that is, like, I really do get it. I am that guy. I'm less that guy now than I was a year ago, and for damn sure I'm less that guy now than I was 10 years ago. But I am still built that way. Like, that's funny. Like, what you did, it's funny. But it's kind of passive aggressive. Like, I wouldn't do it, but I'd laugh at you doing it. I would. I'd be the sisters over there like, yeah, what's up? Like, for real. So, yeah, that's funny. Anyway, but your feelings are valid. Like, it is annoying. I can absolutely understand that. To be explained to over and over again by the person who should understand that you have a competent mind. Like, I understand that. I do. Trust me, I do. But it's the sneakiness and the passive aggressiveness that's the problem. That's what makes you the butthole there. But they're being the buttholes too. Like, there's plenty of butthole to go around on this. Like, your husband or your partner who you have already talked to about this, like, you should be able to point that out to him and be like, hey. And if that doesn't work, then you've got a whole nother issue. Then you need to really look at whether or not there's a commitment level there, because that's what it comes down to as well. If you're not being committed enough to work on your own flaws, then yeah, that's a problem. But that door swings both ways. I don't know any of your problems that he has, right? So I can't comment too much on that, but you do have a right, absolutely, with no equivocation, to address something that just bothers the shit out of you. Gotta quit cussing. YouTube's cracking down on cussing. I've got to quit. You absolutely have the right to address an issue that is bothering you, like, without equivocation, no doubts at all. You just should be more forward with it. Maybe not as rude in front of everybody. Like, get them to the side and be like, hey, that was uncool. And if it continues, then we have another problem. Like, then you can escalate, right? Like, if it continues after the reminders, like, changing patterns are hard, really hard, especially for somebody that's hardwired that way. Again, I've got a playlist like on another channel where I deal with that a lot. Like, people think in different ways, and the way that you think and the way that they think are just two completely different ways. The way that they think is probably pretty close to the same way, because you see patterns in genetics. You really do. Like, families tend to cluster around certain characteristics, and it just works out that way. And that's like from before there's cognition. And the explaining is part of how their stack just works. And so they can try to change that, and then it appears that your husband had some success at that. So encourage it when you see it happening successfully, instead of trying to focus on when it happens the other way. Like, okay, I appreciate that you didn't do that. We'll get you more than that. Anyway, hopefully I didn't bring too much confusion. Hopefully I brought a little bit of enlightenment. And hopefully you had a good time. If you did, leave me a comment down below. If you didn't, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what I can do better. Let me know what you would like to see. Hit me with all the bells and whistles. You know what to do down there. to the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me. I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. You are perfect, complete, and whole just the way that you are. This has been Pittstake. Peace.